I've already did all these still photos with the camera. So now on this part here, what I like to do is I like to walk around with the video and take paint measurements and kind of point out any cosmetic imperfections if I picked up on any. So when I first touch the paint, there's a light coating of dust on here. So I can't say that it's smooth to the touch, but I felt just a little bit of grit. But I'm confident that with a professional grade detail, this thing can be extremely smooth. This is the only area that I'm going to touch like that because with this dust here, I can create micro scratches as well. I just have to do it for demonstration purposes. But let's go ahead and get some paint meter readings. 3.5. This electromagnetic paint meter reads in the thousandths of an inch. That's 4. 3.5. And we're looking for some major inconsistencies. 3.5, 3.5, and 3.5. So everything looks pretty good. Looking at the front bumper area, looking at the left lens, what I check for there is for cloudiness, cracks, or chips. Looks pretty clean, okay, smooth to the touch, and I don't see any cloudiness as well. Front bumper looks decent. One thing I did notice though is I noticed the gap between the right side and the left side is appears a little tighter here on the left side. We know with these Germans, they're fanatics about precision. So at some point, maybe that was removed, or painted, or whatever be the case. But I did notice that the kidneys, grills nicely secured. Don't see any obvious chips. That just cleans right off. Didn't see any stress marks. I typically see them here around this area here. That looks decent. Right, pretty good. Left lens, clear, no cloudiness. Don't see any chips. I've already got the hood readings. Let's do the left fender. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. Those are great readings. Looking at the left front tire, don't see any obvious signs of any curb rash. 265, 35 ZR20s, 99 Ys, and then I got a picture of the DOT number stating the date of manufacture. I'll have to review that later. And then while I'm down here, I like to get a view of the wheel well area. And what I'm checking for is just to make sure there's no damage from the wheels kicking up some sort of road debris or what have you. And I always like to get as many angles as possible in doing this as well. Okay. Also, rotors look decent. Don't see any major lips or grooves. Here's a shot of the brake pad thickness. Looks pretty thick there. And then while I'm down here, I like to do the side panel view. And what I'm looking for is any signs of waviness, dings, or dents. And nothing's really jumping out at me at this point. Looking at the left outside mirror, this got a little nick right here. Got the still photo of that. If I stand back, I can still see it from even 6 feet away. Before moving on to the rest of the panels, looking at the windshield, don't see any obvious signs of cracks or chips. Maybe the tiniest of rock chips, but nothing significant. I've already got the picture of the public VIN plate as well, and I always like to make sure the heads-up display doesn't have no debris in there as well. It's a pocket and can easily get stuff lodged in there. I'll be checking the operation of the windshield wipers, and here's a view of the roof as well. Let me get these meter readings real quick. 3.5, 4, looks good. Also, I checked the sunroof to see how it's aligned with the rest of the panel. It looks like it's pretty dead on. Don't see any scratches or cosmetic issues with the glass. Let's get the door readings. 3.5, 3.5, 3. Solid readings. I always like to check this little area right here because I see fingernails just claw the hell out of the paint here. Looks pretty decent. And on the car just recently, these were all scratched up here. The belt line trim looks pretty good. The gaps I'll be analyzing later. Here on the door, okay, so I'm just wiping that off there. There's just a little cosmetic flaw right there. 3.5, 3, 3.5, 3.5. Okay, moving on. Glass looks good. Left rear rim and tire, don't see any damage to the sidewall. Right. And don't see any obvious curb rash. Rotors look like they're in decent shape. And here's a shot of the brake pad. And then let's do the wheel well area. right. Then stepping back here, kind of working my way down. This is where I start seeing the glare on my screen, so it's difficult for me to see how the film is coming out here. And again, I'm just checking for any dings or dents. Here, standing at the back, I don't see any obvious damage done to the rear of the bumper. Lenses look like they're nicely secured. We got the glass. I always check the defroster lines. Sometimes these cars, they get aftermarket window tint film applied to them, and then when they remove it, they damage these lines, but I'm not seeing that here today. Here's some more readings of the roof. 3.5, 4, shark fin, great shape. Let's get a shot of the 3.5. 3.5, those are great readings. Here on the spoiler, nicely secured. Bumper, I saw the slightest little cosmetic flaws. They might rub out, they might not, but I took still photos of them. 2.5, 3.5. Okay. All right, let's start doing the right side here. The stuff that we see here, it's just dust that we're seeing, or maybe light sand. We're near the beach, so again, I don't want to rub on that too much because of the micro scratches. Just a quick little side view here before moving on, and then same thing here. I know the right door is going to have some cosmetic issues there that I'll be pointing out here pretty soon. Here on the bumper, just some light scratches here. I wear my gloves, but I can't pick it up with my fingernails. Sometimes that stuff can rub out. Looked at the, oh, it's locked already. Moving on. Okay, right rear wheel, P0s. Rims look like they're in good shape. Don't see any obvious curb rash. I've already got photos of the sizes and the DOT number. Rotor looks decent. Here's a quick shot of the brake pad there. And then another quick little side view here, looking for those dings, dents, and scratches. All right. Here on the right rear door, here, unfortunately, it's got a nasty little ding right here, and it's right on the crease line. You know, typically, there's people out there that can do paintless dent removal, but when it's on the hard line right there, that's typically a walk away where they can't do it. But then again, you may talk to anybody if you decide to move forward with the purchase of the vehicle. Okay, right door in the rear looks slightly kicked out. Let's just compare it to the left side. Make sure it's not my imagination. Yeah, that one's a little better. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's less than perfect. We'll call it at that. All right, so we know about the dent there. Let's get the door readings, 3.5. Oh, I don't know if I got door readings here. 4.5, 3, 3.5, get that reading again, 4. Okay. Right front door, 3.5, 3.5, 4. Good solid readings. Okay. Right outside a mirror assembly, don't see any cosmetic blemishes. Here, looking at the windshield from this angle, don't see the scratches, dings, scratches. No dings on this one. Chips or scratches. Dash looks like it's in good shape. Again, looking at the roof line, looks pretty solid. 4 thousandths of an inch. 3.5. The glass looks like it's properly seated. And the shark fin looks good at this angle as well. Let's get the fender reading, 4, 4.5, and let's get the rear, 3. Right front rim and tire, don't see any obvious curb rash. Again, I've already got the measurements already. Rotor looks good. And then here's a quick shot of the brake pad. And let's give you one final look here before I move on of the exterior. So the car was started already before I started the inspection, but I like to just do a quick video, that way you can experience what I am as well. So this is probably like the third time that's been started. The other times were just to move the car around just briefly. So here we go. So what we want to make sure is that all the fault lights come on, right? Make sure that they are working, and then if all systems check out, with the self-diagnosis, they all go out. So I'll review the video still myself, also take still photos too, just to make sure that, you know, all those pertinent lights I turned on, like the check engine light, airbag, and some other ones that are turning on and ultimately turning off. Okay, idle's dropping down to about, it's around 800 or so. Sounds pretty healthy. Out mileage is 20,973. We're gonna walk out to the engine bay area, and just before I forget, looks like the heads-up display is working. I always verify that as well, and I typically just turn it off and on, and then I'll view it when I'm road testing as well. All right, move on here. What I like to do is walk to the back of the vehicle. What I'm checking for here is the exhaust. We don't want to see black, gray, or white or type of smoke. I'm not seeing anything. It looks like nice and clean. I'm not even seeing condensation. We'll probably see that in the morning or if the vehicle sits for a long period of time. But the exhaust sounds healthy, nice tone, and again, I don't see any smoke. Coming to the front engine bay area, we'll take a quick look there. The engine bay area is what I like to see when it's nice, clean, and tidy. Also look at the hood panel underneath, make sure the insulation barrier has not been chewed up. Sometimes what I see in these cars is depending on what area that rodents like to nest in there. So I check for that. They like to chew at that for whatever reason. And then I'll walk around with my inspection light, kind of go deep into the crevices. I mean, there's not much you can see, but I do the best I can. And what I'm checking for is making sure I don't see any nesting, no chewed up wires or hoses. So given my limited view here on the top side, nothing stood out. I've already got the chassis VIN number as well, so I'll be verifying that as well. I got a nice shot of the engine belt. I'll be checking for any cracks. And I don't hear any abnormal noises coming from the engine, meaning no like clunky noises from the bottom end, which is typically like rod knocks, something serious, or top end. I hear injectors right now, but that's about it. So once I shut this video down, I'm gonna actually let the car run for about 15 minutes while I move on with the rest of the inspection. And the reason I do that is because while the engine heat soaks, it also heat soaks the front suspension. So when I go on the road test, given it's just so limited, now that the components are nicely warmed up, or if there's something loose, I should be able to feel it within that road test. So that's another reason I like to let it run for a while. Let me get you some tread depth read really quick. Here we can see where it looks like it's wearing evenly. I'll do a couple of readings here. That's 6 mil, 6 mil, and just under 5.5. So yeah, 6, 6, and 5.5 millimeters. That's the left front. Here's the right front. Even where it looks pretty close. Okay, just below 6, 5.5, okay, and 6. Good readings there. This is the right rear tire. 5. I'll go on the inside here. And 7. Left rear tire. 4. I'll take that back. There it is. I got it in there. 6.5. And 5.5. I've been driving for 2 or 3 miles already. There's so much traffic here, it's kind of hard to get up to speed. There are a couple of areas, and I'll try to get there again to where I can go through the gears and hopefully catch that on video. But I've already checked like all the basics. So as far as right now, hands off steering wheel, stepping on the brakes, steering wheel stays straight, it's not veering to the left or right. I don't hear any abnormal noises coming from the tires. Let's see here, driving straight, no rattles, no pulsation of the pedals when I'm applying the brakes or in the steering wheel. I've already checked all the functions here. Horn, wiper works good, cruise control, went through all the functions with iDrive, navigation, and all the other screens. And then so I'm just doing the manual shifting now. AC blowing cold heater, check the seats, they all work. The heated end and the cool feature sunroof worked well. And I'm gonna see if I can get ahead of these cars. I can goose it just a little bit here. So we're in second. There we go. Third, fourth, and fifth. And coming to a stop here. And I'm gonna have to shut down again. If I get another chance to go through these gears. There goes the brake lights again. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.